Everybody, welcome to another episode of the Bourbon Friday Show. Happy Friday, happy Easter. It's been a really exciting week. This week we've had Facebook in town all week for the community boost, where hundreds of just people like in the community that are looking to start Facebook groups or learn how to use Facebook to help their business grow. Facebook has been helping them out. Actually, I was there this week at the Globe building and really got to just develop great connections with the Facebook group. So I really was excited about that. Also, the Midwest Digital Marketing Conference was also in town. That was really cool. That was held at the Union Station all week long. So all kinds of digital agencies were there. And it was really amazing. So this week has just been a really great week. People in the startup ecosystem have been being able to learn about all the different startups in St. Louis. Also, the next stop was actually last night. It was an After Venture Cafe event where all kinds of entrepreneurs and creators after Venture Cafe wanted to continue starting the conversations and keep on helping connect with each other. And so that was actually held at the OC last night. If you want to go to the next one, go to the MultiPass website at multipassapp.com to stay updated with those with the next event. So we have a really exciting show for you tonight. Luke Babich. He is actually a member of the EQ, the founder of this show, and we are going to be interviewing him about a new startup that he has joined here at T-Rex, and it's really cool just to hear about these stories. So I'm going to pass it over to my co-host, and he's going to just continue it.
All right. Well, thank you, Christian. Luke,
thanks for the intro.
Show. Yeah.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. It's completely dead here tonight, right? I mean, normally we got more people. I think it's because it's the holiday weekend, with
Passover
coming up. It's Good Friday for the Christian crowd as well, right? So anyway, so we're going to get into it. I'm excited to talk to Luke. There's some interesting stories I think we're going to cover tonight. So first of all, Luke, you just got started with Clever Real Estate, right?
That's right.
Okay, so tell us first of all, what is Clever?
So Clever is first of all, a capital innovators company from the last fall cohort. And essentially the model is a nationwide referral service for real estate agents and people who want to sell their homes but save on commission. Okay. So traditionally in a real estate transaction, the seller's agent, the person representing the person selling their home, will take between 2 to 3% of the sale in commission. And the buyer's agent, the person representing the buyer, will take another 2 to 3% over the top of that.
Sure.
So essentially, Clever's model is to help people bring down the commission on the sell side. When they work with a Clever agent, because we're able to provide these agents with a high volume of clients to work with and cut down on their costs to market themselves, these agents are willing to work for either a 1% commission on the sell side or a flat fee of $3,000.
Wow. Okay. So no matter how high the price goes, $3,000?
$3,000 if the price is under $350,000. Okay. Gotcha. And if it's over $350,000, it's 1% instead of the 3%.
Gotcha. So can't go above that 1% over those numbers. Very interesting. So I work in real estate marketing.
Of course.
So I'm very tempted to talk about this all night, but we are going to talk about a couple other things that I remember to move on. But I do want to ask you just one or two other things about Clever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, first thing that comes to mind is it sounds like you're a Zillow competitor. Is that an accurate statement, or how do you guys see yourself comparing to Zillow?
So it's definitely a more niche market. We're not trying to be Zillow. Zillow was very platform and software first, and we're very explicitly not that. We're looking to, it's all about what was already happening in real estate, which was phone calls, it was text messages, it's people meeting up with each other. All that Clever is doing is accelerating that. So we have a sales team. We're now up to 7 people working down on the second floor of T-Rex as of next week. And essentially what we're doing is managing the process, bringing clients in, helping them connect with one of the agents. We're up to over 800 agents in different local markets inside of the network. Okay. And we'll connect them with someone who we know can perform, who understands their local market. So it's much more about making those one-to-one connections happen and then providing the value to the consumer through the savings.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's one part of real estate right now that's getting you got Open Door, and there's all these companies trying to kind of automate the process, and it's still such a huge decision. It's such a big deal for people. Like, a lot of them still want the help of a real estate agent.
Absolutely.
Right? They still want that personal connection, that relationship. So that's awesome. I mean, I've got a bunch of real estate agents. I will definitely be telling about you guys. So do you have certain cities that you're operating in, or are you working with people anywhere across the country?
We are nationwide. So if you take a look at listwithclever.com, you can go see our locations. We have certain markets that we're more active in, and obviously St. Louis, LA, most of the major metros, we have a strong presence, and then we've been branching out into more markets every day.
Gotcha. Cool. It sounds like you guys are blowing up. I'm excited to see what happens here in the next couple of years.
Me too.
Cool.
It's a great team.
And so you're officially, like, this week, going full time with Clever, right? That's where you're at?
So you've got me in a moment of transition.
Yeah, okay.
I'm happy to be representing not one, but two really amazing St. Louis startups. The other one is Longneck and Thunderfoot, or L&T for short. So I'm outgoing director of strategy at L&T and incoming CSO, chief strategy officer at Clever.
Cool. So are they going to be similar roles between the two?
Very different.
Very different, yeah.
Very different skill sets.
Sure.
Very different team, but definitely some commonalities too, in terms of they're both companies that are all about the human-to-human interactions, but very much digital companies.
Okay.
Using digital tools, digital native, I guess you'd say, which
Sure.
I think you see a lot of in St. Louis.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. All right. So that'll be maybe an easier transition because of that, I would hope. So you have a little familiarity with the platforms and whatnot already. So I want to ask you now, you came back to St. Louis, or I'm not even sure if you were from St. Louis originally, but I know you went to Stanford, right?
Yeah, so grew up in University City.
Okay.
I went through the public school systems there all the way to U City High, and then went to Stanford, studied political science, and came back after graduating.
So that's what I'm curious about, because I know that's a thing St. Louis has a lot of trouble with, is actually getting college graduates to come back, or especially getting ones that are not from St. Louis to come here. So what drew you back to St. Louis? Why was this the right place for you?
Yeah. I always knew I wanted to come back.
Okay.
It was a question of when more than if.
Okay.
I'm glad the opportunity arose, and it came up kind of by chance shortly after I graduated, to really stay here and start building something, which was actually a political campaign.
Yeah, okay.
The reasons to come back in the broadest sense were more about values. This is the front line for any important problem you could want to solve in America in the 21st century.
That's a fair point, yeah.
We've got a racial and economic divide. We have an urban-rural divide.
Sure.
And I think the struggles of the Midwest and second-tier cities like St. Louis are the ones that really, really matter.
Yeah, I can see that.
And we've got a great culture in terms of quality of life. And, in addition to the other things over the last year, myself and a business partner who I went to U City High with, who got involved in real estate. And for the cost of what my colleagues at L&T in New York were paying in rent, we're able to put money down and buy rental properties, which
so
obviously
like
you can't.
Unit type of properties.
Which obviously you can't do on the coasts.
Sure. That's awesome. Yeah, it's a huge opportunity. I mean, my sister even got into real estate investing recently, and she's on her third house, I think, at this point. So, so you mentioned a political campaign there, right? So
Yes.
Are you talking about you running for office, or what went on with that?
So, like I said, it started kind of accidentally.
Okay.
I came back to University City really on a short stayover. It wasn't clear. Most of my job opportunities at that point were out on the West Coast, just because that's where my network from college was. But University City at the time was divided over an issue about outsourcing the ambulance service in U City.
Okay.
So the ambulance service had recently been outsourced to a private company, and the city was divided over whether this had made the ambulances faster or slower. Now, it turns out all of the data was out there to objectively answer that question. People didn't need to be divided into these factional camps. There was data to look at. And I sent an email to a group of friends from the political science program, subject line, "My people need you." And we started delving into the data over late night Skype sessions. And as I was publishing about it, as I was writing, trying to break the story of what was going on with this thing that's really fundamentally important to you and your neighbors and your local community, out of a big spreadsheet and into graphs and maps of the ambulance calls to explain what was happening, started to build a following around that, and realized that the barrier to making a difference in local politics was a lot lower than I had thought.
Okay.
And there was a real need in the community for people to be building a conversation about what was happening around the numbers, around objective facts, around publishing and putting things out publicly.
Gotcha.
Come on, guys.
Oh, hey, Eric. How's it going?
What's up, brother?
Pretty good.
Welcome to the show, I guess.
Yeah, I just
You need a
ran
pour,
out
it
a
looks
little
like.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I'd get some of this.
Yeah, so you're the expert here.
Tell us what we have going on.
What do we got here tonight?
This is Woodford Reserve.
Okay.
Yes.
Also from Kentucky, of course. So something interesting about Woodford Reserve is to get to Woodford Reserve, the distillery, you got to go through multiple million-dollar thoroughbred farms.
Really?
Yeah. So something that makes Kentucky bourbon what tastes like what it does is the fact that the water is filtered through limestone. Limestone filters out the iron taste, which makes everything taste better, but limestone also adds calcium there, which is why you have thoroughbreds there.
Okay.
Stronger bones.
Oh, really?
Okay.
So Woodford Reserve, because of that reason, is the official bourbon of the Kentucky Derby.
Oh.
So,
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So if I drink this, do my bones get stronger?
Yeah.
Is that a result?
Yeah.
I don't think so,
No?
but we
All
could
right.
try.
All right, I am going to try.
Yeah.
All right,
But you
see.
feel stronger.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably would
Yes.
happen, but you might have to drink questionable amounts of bourbon to
Okay.
get there.
That's
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true.
Drink responsibly.
Of course. All right, cool. Well, I appreciate the tip there. Give yourself a little pour.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I had Woodford
Is drinking
Reserve.
it neat?
He is.
might add.
Well, we learned 2 weeks ago from Gary that if you really appreciate your bourbon, you drink it straight.
Drink it
And
straight.
you're supposed to have a body temperature
Oh.
glass as
Okay.
well. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so
Oh,
we're
working on
trying
that.
to.
Well,
trying to get
I'm messing up right now.
All right.
I poured their glasses,
Cheers.
so
Thanks, Eric.
that was my fault.
Yeah, so now we know a little bit more about Woodford Reserve, and I'll have to test myself later to see if I'm stronger,
Okay.
if my bones
Yeah.
are strong. Let's figure out a way to test the strength of our bones by
Another great startup idea.
breaking a leg or something. So, all right, well, I know we just got a few minutes left here. So, Luke, I wanted to ask you a little bit more about the non-business side of your life, right? So, as entrepreneurs, I think we focus a ton on work, very stressful. I know I need certain time to just kind of take a break. That's why I love Bourbon Friday. It's a good chance to hang out and kind of do that.
Exactly.
What about you? I mean, what do you like to do for fun? What do your weekends look like?
So right now weekends do look like work, which makes
bad question, I
which
guess.
makes the kind of de-stress moments all
Sure.
the more important.
Sure.
Honestly, a lot of it for me is around a work environment where there is a lot of work and play mingled together. That's something I've always valued a lot.
Okay.
Certainly at L&T, there was a culture of working really hard, but then also de-stressing after a client meeting, just getting completely goofy.
Sure.
And there's a very similar culture at Clever. Late night Slack conversations with our CMO is actually in Australia.
Oh, really? Okay.
So he'll be waking up and give us this boost of energy as the rest of the team is starting to fade out.
Gotcha.
And having those moments of just de-stressing, sharing conversations, those matter a lot. And then on a more personal level, I'm a big fan of gym sessions with audiobooks. That's been my de-stress, get it out of my system.
Audiobooks in the
thing.
gym, man. Your de-stressing is a lot healthier than mine is.
I mean,
But that's good.
a glass of bourbon doesn't hurt either.
It doesn't hurt here and there. Maybe not before the gym though. Right? So, I mean, one thing I do wonder about is, a lot of startups that get into this kind of aggressive growth mode, you've got your funding, you've got, what you said, I think you said 7 salespeople already. So what does scaling at that point kind of feel like? So I guess we're kind of a little bit in front of that, I think, and we're kind of feeling that coming in our business. And I'm like, am I going to have to work 150 hours a week, or like, am I going to go crazy? Like, what does a daily schedule look like for your business right now?
Yeah. So I've been in transition, moving out of L&T
Sure, that's
and
true.
into Clever. That's made it even harder.
I bet,
And
yeah.
I think it comes down to having amazing business partners and finding people who you want to be spending long hours with. Because again, there is that work and play.
Mm-hmm.
And the schedule tends to be, our daylight hours are really defined to working with clients, working with our clients or agents. So being on the phone with our agents, helping them get connected with sellers nationwide, that's all confined to the day hours. And then things like development, building out our automations happens in the evening. In terms of what does growth feel like? That's a great question. As long as we're planning ahead, and
Yeah.
that is again where those evening hours of just trying to talk through envisioning what the next week looks like. This will be our first week in T-Rex.
Okay.
Up until this point, the business was gradually growing in my dining room.
Oh, really?
So it'll be really nice to
Excited to
empty
grill
all of
on
the
the
tables
streets,
and
yeah.
chairs out
Yeah.
and
Get
have a
your phone
dining
back a little
room.
bit. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right, and I'm actually curious, Christian, to hear your take on this as well, because I know you guys are kind of, I think, kind of where we are in the sense that like you feel that kind of coming now. So how are you handling that? I mean, is your daily schedule changing a lot in the past few weeks, or?
Yeah. So for me, like I love like working really hard. Like that's my thing. But also like my co-founder, she also is a very more balanced person. So I've had to like really learn from her. Like, okay, we can work hard, but also like relax and really just have more balance. So she brings that. But also she works very, very hard too.
Yeah.
But she's like, no, like we're gonna work hard and then we're gonna relax and chill, you know, do stuff like that really helps you be healthy, you know, stuff that helps you personally. So I've had to learn that.
Gotcha. Okay, well, it's good. Probably a good lesson to learn, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I will say that I think my philosophy might be a little bit different than other people's, in the fact that I feel like I'm driven by my laziness in a lot of ways, where like I'm motivated to get things done so that I can take a break, you know, or automate something so it takes me less time so that I can, you know, chill and watch a TV show or something.
Right.
But, you know, I don't know. I mean, I think sometimes that anything's a double-eded sword, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could be the person who just wants to work all day and then you burn out, right? Or you can be the person who wants to take too many breaks and then you never get anything done. So I think, like you said, balance really kind of plays a factor there, right?
Yeah.
So I do think we are coming to the end of the show. I think we're about the 20-minute mark. So I don't know, Christian, you had some final comments to close things out for us today?
Close it out. Thank you so much, Luke.
Yes.
Great being here.
Yes, and good luck on your new journey. I know it's very just interesting, like when you're in that transition and like the new step forward. We've had a really, really great great episode. If you're interested in being on the show, being here as a guest, please contact us through the EQ page. And we just look forward to like next week. Thank you guys so much. And also really make sure you take time out to take care of yourself. You may work really hard, but you may feel like you don't get a lot done. Focus on yourself, take care of yourself as entrepreneurs. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Happy Easter. See you guys later.